Jason.
Hold it. Hold it. Fine. Very nice, Antonia. That's the best one through so far. All right, everybody, lunch back at 2 o'clock.
Larry, dear, I know that the mood of this play is sort of early Noel Coward, but do you think you could manage to think of our love scenes rather in terms of late Tennessee Williams? Oh, well, I dare say it's my fault. I've been wheeling you into squiring me all over New York till all hours every night. You must be worn out, poor sweet. Now, you go and have a nice, restful lunch, huh? And forget the calories, will you? And try for the vitamins. The vitamins, boy. Scoot.
The trouble with that boy is he's over-rehearsed. He hit his peak when he kissed you goodnight at the door last night at 3 a.m.
Now, you, my dear unloved spinster, are no authority. And what's more, I do not pay you to chaperone or to spy, and you can easily be replaced by an electronic brain.
Tony! You have a luncheon engagement?
Oh, aren't you sweet, darling? Well, I'm just going to have a tiny bite in my dressing room, but you really are land to think of it. Bless you. Hey! Oh, all through weeks of rehearsal, this condensed shade's as drafty as a wind tunnel. But I guarantee you that on opening night, the furnace will blaze like the fires of Hades, and we'll all go on stage steaming like a bucket of long-necked clams.
You should have accepted that offer in Las Vegas instead. With cool weather coming on, there's nothing like a warm desert breeze blowing across a hot crap table.
Now, you know I'm still wrestling the Internal Revenue boys over the results of my last engagement in Vegas. I have such difficulty reconciling my gross habits with my net income.
Lunch, you say?
I hope you use the low-calorie vermouth.
And the low cholesterol ice cube.
Oh, how Miss Friday again. Now, I refuse to be cooped up for another weekend in a nightclub. Call Sherman, tell him to destroy my table. I'm kicking the habit.
You'll change your mind as soon as the sun goes down.
Now, Mason, you're not my analyst. I just may surprise you myself, too. I may do something very basic and earthy this weekend, like climbing a peak in the Catskills and sleeping in a pup tent.
If you really want to rub elbows with nature, why don't you accept this invitation from dear Muriel?
Dear Muriel, I know no female with a cloyingly saccharine name of Muriel.
Tony, she's been writing steadily to you for the past 3 weeks. I've read you every word. Mrs. Norman Frost Bennett.
But not the gold-encrusted, diamond-studded Norman Frost Bennett.
Yes, the same. She mentions having been a classmate of yours at finishing school.
Well, it's funny, I don't seem to remember any... Wait a minute. Of course, little Muriel... what's the name? How could I possibly forget? Bennett's Forge. Huh, a farm in Bucks County. Oh, it sounds heavenly.
Fortune magazine says Norman Bennett experiments with chickens there. Spends millions improving the breed.
Well, that's a new way to spend money on chicks.
Do you really remember this social register school chum?
Oh, that was such a dreary school, Mason. And I was so girlish, it would break your heart. And I was going with a tennis player just because he looked so white and clean. And Muriel used to let me in the dorm window at nights when I was locked out, you know, after that silly medieval curfew.
No doubt that's when your warped character first began to develop.
My word, I hated that school. It was like being sent up the river. Oh, my arch enemy was a smooth little wedge. She blackballed me out of her sorority. Oh, she generally got in my hair, but the unkindest cut of all was when she finally walked off with my tennis player. And Muriel found me crying torrents in my dungeon of a room.
Poor tender reed, broken by the cruel gusts of life.
You know, she didn't commiserate. I remember she didn't philosophize and she didn't laugh at me. She just sat right down beside me and cried along with me. She cried for me, Mason. Me.
Well, I pray for you constantly.
Mason, this weekend I shall rusticate on the farm of the Norman Frost Bennett among all coops and goats and hutches. Telephone this message immediately, will you, dear? Tell him I shall require accommodation for a very small entourage, chauffeur, yourself, of course, pet, and 2 precious pets.
You're not going to take those dogs.
So, well, of course, I wouldn't dream of kenneling them.
mean, no kennel would dream of taking them.
And tell him that as my new play opens in a few weeks, I'm horribly diet conscious. And all menus must be absolutely fat-free, undressed salads and all that, you know, and positively no poultry. Heaven knows what Bennett is doing to those unfortunate chickens. I refuse to be a guinea pig for experimental fowl. Say that we shall arrive tomorrow at dawn.
Dawn?
Well, it's a farm, isn't it? Oh, and say that immediately on arrival, I shall go promptly to bed until 4 in the afternoon, after which I shall be delighted to consider escorted tours of the Bennett hen houses and the cowboys' bunkhouses, if they have any, and any other rustic diversions until cocktail time. And be sure you say that I'm looking forward deliriously to being a simple peasant for 2 wholesome days on that dear homestead.
Well, there'll be caviar on the chicken mash tomorrow.
Oh, Mason, just one more thing. Be sure you tell the Bennetts under no circumstances to go to any special bother on my account. Old man Bennett had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Norman, she's actually coming tomorrow morning.
That's nice, Muriel.
Norman, Antonia Stewart is arriving here at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Stewart? Stewart? Should I remember that name?
Well, you would remember that name if you get out of those filthy chicken coops long enough and take an interest in culture.
Now, darling, I took you to the opera in Philadelphia only last month.
Norman, for heaven's sakes, what are you doing in here in these filthy jeans? Put your feet down. Antonia Stewart's only the greatest actress on Broadway. The biggest star in Hollywood.
Oh, yes, I'm sure I've read about her somewhere.
Norman, what are you doing?
Looking for my shoes.
Do you know you behave as if you're actually ashamed of bearing a great name and fortune?
Now, Muriel.
For the life of me, I can't understand why you shut yourself off completely from anything that's social and cultural.
I'll take in a good movie right away. Anything cultural at the local bijou this week?
Norman, will you please take a little interest in what I'm trying to tell you?
What?
A couple of weeks ago, I was playing bridge with some of the girls. And I happened to mention that I once knew Antonia Stewart at school. Oh, they didn't believe me. You know how catty women can be.
I'm learning.
Do you know that they actually challenged me to produce the great Tony Stewart? Oh, I was trapped and bluffing like mad. I wasn't even sure whether Tony would remember me.
I should think actresses would have very good memories. They have to remember so many lines. I knew a little actress when I was in college. I'll bet she still remembers some of my lines.
Oh, don't be so corny.
Corny? I was being witty.
Yes, I suppose that's the kind of humor you read about in the Poultry Growers Journal. Norman, if you're not conscious of your name and social position, I am.
I know, dear. You remind me often enough. Muriel, I'm going upstairs and take a little nap.
Oh, no, you're not. We have to move to the guest room in the east wing. I'm giving Tony the master bedroom. And where I'm going to put the rest of the staff, I just don't know.
Well, we can always build a new wing. Or maybe you could sleep with the maid and I can bunk in the hen house.
Norman, will you please try to pick the straw out of your hair?
Yes, dear, I'll try.
Oh, yes. I'm asking everyone in for cocktails tomorrow to meet Tony. And, darling, you're going to have to wear a tie and play host whether you like it or not.
All right, dear, don't worry. I promise to be the perfect host. If I can just remember where I put my shoes. Stewart?
Thanks a lot, Homer. Not quite.
Oh, what a charming house. Good, gracious colonial. And this heavenly air. Breathe it, Mason. Breathe it. It's ambrosia. And such a gloriously expensive-looking estate. And what sublime landscaping. Shows you what the gods could do if they had money. Come, sweetheart. Jeffrey, Clancy, come, darling. Jeffrey, come on, boys, come on.
Oh, yes, you're a nice boy, aren't you? Hello there, old boy. How you been?
Johnson, take the puppies for a walk, will you? Do you know, that's extraordinary. They usually never let anyone make a move when I'm around.
I always get along with animals.
Well, I always say you can tell a man's character by the way a dog treats him.
And I always say you can tell a person's character by the kind of dog she chooses.
Oh?
You must have a very soft heart. Only a real sentimentalist could love monsters like those.
Well, I see you're quite a barnyard philosopher, sir.
I guess I feel the same way about Orpingtons. If I didn't love them, who would?
Hoofingtons? Oh, Buff Orpingtons. Oh, aren't those the darling beige, rather matronly hens of the Sporty
Yes.
Plus Force? Oh, I love them, too.
My chickens.
Oh.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I'm Norman Bennett.
Oh, well, I'm Sophie Tucker, last the Red Hot Mamas. How do you do?
I'm certainly delighted you could come.
Well, so am I.
But just so I don't fly any false colors, I must confess that I've never caught you at the playhouse.
Well, I've never caught you at the hen house. Wasn't it Will Rogers who said, we're all ignorant, it's just that we're ignorant about different things?
Yes. Why, I hope you'll forgive this outfit, but when you didn't arrive at dawn, we waited in parade dress for a few hours, then gave up.
Oh, but darling, 12 o'clock noon is dawn, isn't it?
I guess we have an outmoded almanac. I suppose you'd like to go in?
It was not really necessary. We have sleeping bags. Oh, Mason, this is Mr. Bennett, our host. This is Miss Mason, my secretary.
How do you do? My chickens.
Oh, the Orpingtons, isn't it sweet?
Yes. Oh, well, I'd better see if I can find Muriel. Muriel!
Oh! Oh!
Mason, good heavens.
How good of you to come. Oh, it's so wonderful to see you. It's been such a long time.
Yes, it's been an age, hasn't it?
Tony, I'm arranging a little cocktail party at 5 o'clock. I hope it won't be too soon after your long drive.
Not a minute too soon.
Good. Well, I'll have Kendall pick up your luggage. Kendall! Oh, Kendall!
Mason, I've made the most monumental goof.
What did you do?
That isn't the sweet little chum who loved me at school. That's the horrid little wench who made my life a misery and who stole my lovely tennis player.
Bennett, where is this lured female guest of yours? Atrocious manners, unforgivable breach of good taste. The guest of honor delaying her host like this.
She's worth waiting for, Mr. Dupre.
An actress? I rarely enjoy theatrical people. They're only on the other side of the footlights.
I didn't believe it either, but I met her once at a party in Paris, and everything you've heard about her is true.
You mean you spent a whole evening with her?
The whole evening? I didn't even get close.
I did. She's an attractive woman, all right. And she's got a good head on her shoulders.
Now, Norm, don't tell me you wasted your time talking to her about your poultry.
Well, we kicked Buck Orpington around a little, but that wasn't all we talked about.
You certainly scored the social coup of this season or any other, Muriel.
Oh, well, I was so glad that Tony could come. Actually, we haven't kept in touch as closely as we'd like to.
Do you suppose she's really coming down?
Well, of course, dear.
But I heard she once fell asleep and completely ignored a party that was being given in her honor.
No, she's being deliberately late. It's part of her act. It gives her an opportunity to make a big entrance.
Well, I wouldn't want to miss...
Oh.
What beautiful friends you have. Oh, they want to go to the party. They'd enjoy their little snack. Johnson, take them for a good walk now. Off you go, boys. Ah, my gracious host awaits with my goblet. What a perfectly lovely party, darling. Now, quick, point out the Wall Street men to me. I don't want to waste a moment on any minor financier who may have sneaked in on a pass.
Miss Stewart, may I present?
How do you do?
And here we have Mr. Mifflin and Mr. Hopkins.
How do you do?
Hello.
I met you once in Paris, but I don't suppose you remember me, do you?
Oh, but yes, of course I do. Tell me, how is sweet little Bunny? You know, the funny thing about that name Bunny, I never yet met a man who doesn't blanch when I mention it.
Miss Stewart, this is Mr. Dupre.
Oh, how do you do? You know, for a moment, I thought it was dear Winnie.
Winnie?
Yes,
Winnie?
Churchill, of course, but now I see that you're much, much younger.
I am 71.
Oh, no, I don't believe it, not with that naughty twinkle in the eye. Look, beer, darling, and hold my glass for me, will you, while I'm meeting people? I'll be right back. Dear, come on, let's not trifle with the singles. Get me the whole squad. That's in American money. Excuse us, will you, please? Because I did want to see this biggest disc in the world. I know that you say you have several, and I really want to. Franz Mazzini says, of course, it's a wonderful collection. As there's never to desire view from here. Oh, look, the evening star out already.
Yes.
Say, when's your birthday, darling?
June 6th.
Jiminy. Well, of course.
Is that good?
Oh, that's wonderful. You see, I'm Libra. And Libra and Gemini, well, they have a natural affinity. They're magnetically attractive.
Give me Libra or give me death.
Well, we can't fight the stars, can we?
Impossible.
When is dear Muriel's birthday?
May 15th.
Taurus. Oh, poor darling. What about... Well, a certain natural law. Oh, I read it wrong. And that Venus was moving in both our signs. What do you think this witty rascal said? Give me Libra or give me death?
Oh, I remember your astrology routines at school, Antonia. Still working the same old angles?
Angles? Oh, no, darling. It's much more fun to employ curves. If you have any.
Come in.
You're a real dear heart. Oh, what is it? Are you weeping?
No, I'm not weeping. I'm furious. Tony, I want you to let him alone.
Let him alone?
Yes. Oh, I know he's beguiled by you, but you can't have him, Tony.
Dear, I'm not that predatory. Although I must admit he's a divinely fascinating creature. So suave and with those black velvety Latin eyes.
Norman?
Good heavens, no, dear. The butler.
Tony, you know very well I'm speaking of Norman. Will you please be honest?
Oh, but those aren't the rules, Angel. You thrust, I parry. And the sport is in the clash of blades and the clank of
Tony, this
steel.
isn't a sport.
Oh, you mean the rules are different for millionaires and tennis players?
Tennis players?
Oh, surely you remember that awesome specimen of sinew and brawn that you beguiled away from me at school?
I'd completely forgotten about that. So that's what you're trying to do to me. Pay me back, get even.
Oh, not at all. I find Norman very fascinating. He's much too good to be cooped up here with a life of social snobbery and chicken farming. Somebody ought to take him away from all this.
Well, you're only acting.
Oh, dear, you make a mistake. I never perform in front of small parlor groups.
Tony, you're outrageous. You're not interested in Norman. You're just giving another one of your performances.
Well, Angel, isn't that why you invited me down here? In order to have somebody to parade in front of your country chums?
All right. All right, apparently I hurt you once a long time ago. And today you tried to make a fool of me in front of all of my friends. Well, that should even the score. Now, will you please leave Norman alone?
Oh, I'm afraid it's too late for that, Angel. I think the poor boy's hooked. But then you're not interested in him yourself, are you?
Well, maybe I haven't shown it much lately. Maybe I've taken him for granted. But I want him, Tony.
Good luck to you.
Tony, I can't fight you. My chances against you are 1,000,000 to 1.
1,000,000 to... My dear, you flatter yourself.
Tony, I want him. I love him.
You know, that was rather a nice reading. It was quite amateurish, of course, a little melodramatic, but I'm beginning to believe you. Almost. But, of course, you never convince any man in the audience.
No. No, I'm not a professional charmer.
Oh, touché. Funny thing, though. It takes years of practice in make-believe to be able to say something as simple as, I love you, darling, and make it sound real. And then, on my oath as an equity member, this lout attempted to breach my dressing room door. Of course, if I'd had a protector like Norman then, all would have been well. But unfortunately, as it was, I had to scream bloody murder and plod it clear out through the dressing room window, clad only in my tiara and a startled expression.
Well, where did you land?
Smack dab in the middle of the intermission crowd from the Barrymore Theatre.
That'll be enough of that, Antonia.
Muriel,
You stay out of this. You're a gross, appalling creature, Antonia. Do you think that your world of sham and fantasy extends to all people, all places?
Muriel.
Do you think that you can defy every code and convention, trample on everything that's good and decent? I want you to leave, Antonia. Now, if you'll please come with me, I'll have Kendall call your car. Goodbye, Antonia. If you'll excuse me, I've neglected my guests long enough.
Oh, pray don't let me detain you another moment.
Norman?
Oh, yes, dear. Just a minute. Tony, I'm sorry you can't stay longer.
Oh, thanks. It's been earthy.
And I'm glad I finally had a chance to see you act.
Well, I don't quite understand your heavy innuendo, but please don't bother to explain.
It was nice of you to pretend to be romantically interested in me, just to make Muriel aware once again of my fatal charm and attraction.
Oh, I don't know.
And thanks for the lesson in animal husbandry.
Well, I really don't understand what on earth you're talking about.
I think today you've done more for the breed than I've ever done. For the human breed. Miss Mason, goodbye, Tony.
Goodbye. So long, Squire.
Tony Stewart, mighty hunter. You drew a bead on the dough, but you couldn't pull the trigger.
Oh, well, you know me, Mason. Anything for a buck.
I also know you rehearsed little Muriel in that melodramatic speech she clobbered you with in front of the assembled peasants.
Now, what on earth gave you that revolting idea?
It was word for word the second act curtain of the new play you're rehearsing, and she read it just the way you do. A perfect imitation.
Oh, well, c'est la vie, as Will Rogers always used to say. Tell you what, as soon as we get back, let's call the club. And tell Sherman to dust off my table, and we'll have a lovely dinner. Anything but chickens. Gesundheit.